comparable. You do find that you will be paying for museum entries and gallery entries in New York, which you don't in London, but often these museums have certain times of the week, an afternoon perhaps, or a couple of hours, when you can get in for free, or you have a pay-what-you-wish session. There are also multi-attraction passes that can cover a variety of experiences or tours or attraction entry in one price. So you'd buy a pass for maybe $90, and that would get you into a certain number of attractions while you're there. So there's definitely ways. It's just really a question of planning in advance. Something else to be aware of is that a lot of New York hotels don't offer bed and breakfast. They will just be room only. But you can pick up breakfast very cheaply. For instance, there's bagel trucks on every corner in the morning, and you can get a coffee and a bagel there for around $2. So it's really very affordable if you know how to do it. But equally, if you want a blowout holiday, you can find that in New York too. So you can feed yourself for $2, or you can feed yourself for $30. It's really a question of what you're after.
I'm after $2.
Which is more my kind of budget too, so I find that's plenty for me.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. We're talking New York City on the Travel Show this week. I'm speaking to Kate from the London office of the New York City Tourist Board. And we're moving on now to where's the best way or where's the best place to get tickets for theatre. Should you book in advance, or should you get a cheap ticket when you're there? Let's hear what Kate has to say.
You said about planning ahead and knowing where to go to eat and stuff, but a lot of people go to New York for the theatre. Is it best to book while still in the UK or when you get there? And if you were there and you wanted to get a last-minute ticket, where would you go?
You can book in advance, or you can book when you get there. It really depends on your circumstances and how much you want to see a particular show. Obviously, if there's a particular show that you're really keen to see, and maybe just one night of your holiday that you have free, we'd advise that you book in advance because you've got more chance of getting those tickets for that particular night. You might end up paying full price for those tickets. So if you wanted to look for a discount ticket, you can, by all means, queue up. There are TKTS booths at 3 locations around New York City, and also the box offices of the particular theatres will sell last-minute tickets for the performances that night. And you might make savings of 40 to 50% on those tickets, but equally you might be spending an hour or two queuing up for them. So it's really a question of valuing your time and thinking how much you want to see a Broadway show, which might be any Broadway show, and how much you specifically want to see something like The Lion King or Wicked. There are a lot of shows that will sell out a long time in advance, so if you've got a particular show you want to see, we'd always advise you book in advance. And the same would go if you were travelling with a family or a larger group. You wouldn't be guaranteed to have 4 or 6 tickets together in the same area of the theatre if you were booking them on the day itself. So if you were in that kind of circumstance, we would also advise booking in advance.
Okay, book in advance. That's clear.
Yep.
New York is famous for its food. Well, I think it is anyway. Is there a particular diner or restaurant that every visitor should get to, no matter what budget they got?
I don't really think there's one restaurant or diner that we can recommend above any other. I think in New York it's largely about the food experience. Like you say, New York's very famous. You can eat your way around New York. Eat your way around the world in New York, trying every different ethnic cuisine. But something I think that I enjoy when I go to New York, and certainly friends and family of mine, is the sort of finding those New York classics. So going for a New York pizza or a burger, a hot dog, or a slice of New York cheesecake, or a coffee from a deli. So I think it's just a question of finding those experiences, and they're widely available across the city. You're not going to be able to walk a block without finding a food outlet or a restaurant, I don't think. The other thing they are big on in New York is brunch. That's an incredibly popular meal, so I would always recommend that you try and find somewhere to have brunch. And if you have a good New York City brunch, you're going to be filled up till dinner time.
So it's just as well you're walking everywhere then?
Yep. You need that energy in the morning.
Yep. Central Park is very famous, but what is there actually to do there?
There's plenty to do in Central Park. It's a large stretch of park in the middle of Manhattan. It's the main playground for many New Yorkers. So it's somewhere that you'll, first of all, encounter people from all walks of New York City life as well as other tourists. So I quite like people watching when I go there. It's a great place just to wander or to have a picnic in the warmer months. But equally, you can explore it on walking tours, on cycling tours. I think when you walk around it, you'll recognise a lot of backdrops from films. There's a lot of places like fountains and the boating lake. The Imagine Peace mosaic is a very popular place for British travellers, which commemorates John Lennon, who was shot nearby. As I mentioned, the boating lake, if you want to take out a boat and go for a row in the summer months, that's really popular. Central Park Zoo for those with kids, which is probably even better known now with the Madagascar films.
So it does exist.
It does exist,
Yep.
yes. It doesn't have talking lions, unfortunately, but it's a popular spot for families. In the winter, you can go ice skating at the ice rinks there, and there's always various events going on, particularly in the summer months. You'll find a lot of free concerts, theatre events, fitness events, everything going on through the year. And of course, it's a great place at any time of year to go for a run.
It's never a great place to go for a run. Unless you're trying to
Well,
escape
watch
from something.
the runners then. You can watch other people running.
Yeah, that's more my style. What about Times Square? If you stay in a hotel near Times Square, is it going to be too noisy to sleep?
Hopefully not. In hotel terms, Times Square stretches for quite a few blocks to the north, south, east and west. So you will find quieter areas rather than the really, really heart of Times Square. But what we have to remember is that most hotels in the Times Square area are going to be in high-rise buildings. So actually you're quite removed from the street level, which is where most of the noise will be coming from. If you're concerned, obviously take earplugs and an eye mask, because actually some people find that the neon lights are more distracting than the noise. But it's really kind of the fun of being at the heart of the action, and I think most hotels have a quiet side and a noisier side. But they're all modern buildings. They've been very well equipped to shut out sound, and you shouldn't be disturbed by the hustle and bustle of Times Square if you're staying in that area.
Okay, so all I'll be out here, well, all my wife be out here is me snoring then. And,
Yes,
else.
perhaps. You might have more of an issue with that.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on UKHealthRadio.com. We're talking New York City on the John Guinn Travel Show. I'm speaking to Kate from the London office of the New York City Tourist Board. We're going to move on to what people should do when they go in the summer and winter. What attractions should they see? How long should they stay there for? And as it's cold outside, I thought we'd start off with looking ahead to the summer. What should people see and do when they go to New York City in the summer?
I think Central Park is going to be a must-visit destination for the reasons we've just discussed. There's so much to do and see there. But one of my favourite things in New York is to take a boat trip and to see the city from the water. It gives you a completely different perspective on the skyline. You get to see the Statue of Liberty and the Brooklyn Bridge and all these other kind of iconic sites, Lower Manhattan from the water. So there are a number of options in terms of boat trips, from sightseeing tours to commuter ferries or the Staten Island ferry, which is completely free and gives you great views of the Statue of Liberty. We'd also recommend that you spend some time outside Manhattan and go and explore the other boroughs. So Brooklyn, for instance, you can walk across the Brooklyn Bridge or the Manhattan Bridge over to Brooklyn. There's a great outdoors food market called Smorgasburg, which takes place at the weekends during the summer months, and actually from spring all the way through to autumn. And it's also worth knowing that New York City has 14 miles of coastline, and a lot of people don't realise that. They don't think of it as a city with a beach. But Coney Island, which is something I think a lot of people have heard of and maybe have a picture of in their head, that's on the end of the subway line down in Brooklyn. So in fact, you can jump on a subway in Midtown Manhattan and be at the beach with an amazing ocean front, a fun fair, lots of rides and entertainment within about half an hour. So it's closer than London to Brighton, for instance, and you can actually combine your city break with a beach holiday, which I think is something that a lot of people aren't aware of. And also in the summer, that it's the best time of year for free events. If you're looking for free art galleries, theatre, concerts, movie screenings, there's so much going on around the city in the months of July and August, so it's always worth researching before you go what the main events are. And and you can pretty much have keep your costs for the hotel and the flights and save money when you get there on the ground with all the free attractions and events going on.
Yeah, I must admit, I never thought about having a beach holiday while I was in New York.
Exactly. You can go shopping, buy yourself some beachwear, and then try it out the next day.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. What difference would there be if somebody was having a short break during the winter?
Obviously, it's a bit colder in the winter, so people are favouring the more indoor activities. At this time of year, before Christmas, shopping is obviously a popular draw. The sort of shopping season really starts after Thanksgiving with Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving when all the major sales begin in the shop. So that's a great time for people to start shopping. But even those who aren't really keen on retail therapy might enjoy just viewing the department store windows. So all of the big shops have this big competition to have the most festive, spectacular window displays. So that in itself becomes a tourist attraction, going around New York and checking out these window displays. It's also a great time of year at the moment to explore the museums and galleries. Obviously, we've got big, iconic institutions such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Guggenheim, MoMA, the American Museum of Natural History. All of these places have amazing exhibitions on, and quite often they bring in their new exhibitions to run over the winter months, so that's always popular. And there's lots of sort of smaller, quirky museums as well. There are a lot of ice rinks around the city right now, which will probably run until February, March or April. In December, we've got the Christmas markets taking place. And then in terms of winter entertainment, there's lots of seasonal shows on, such as the New York City Ballet's performance of the Nutcracker, which is a seasonal annual performance, and the Radio City Christmas Spectacular, which is starring the Rockettes, the high-kicking chorus line girls at Radio City Music Hall. So those are perennial classics. And along with that, you've got the traditional Broadway musicals. There's lots of fantastic shows on at the moment, really popular ones, including Book of Mormon, Wicked, Matilda, Kinky Boots, The Lion King. There's something to suit everyone, really. And there's a lot of stars on Broadway right now as well, so lots of fantastic theatre.
It is winter time now, and New Year's coming. New Year's Eve in Times Square is meant to be really special, but what should every visitor know beforehand?
Well, there's quite a lot of things you should know, because there's around 1 million visitors expected in the Times Square area on New Year's Eve, so it's one of the biggest events that New York stages every year. We actually have a guide to what you should know before you go on our website, nycgo.com. Some of the key points for Brits would probably be to know that alcohol is banned. Public drinking is illegal in New York City, so don't take along your champagne, unfortunately, or your beer, because you're at the risk of getting arrested, and obviously that's not the best way to be spending the New Year. Bags are also banned for security reasons, so if you want to go, just make sure that you've got a big warm jacket and you can fill up your pockets with cameras or anything else you might need. There are no public toilets around, so you need to find a bathroom before you go. And also, because it's so crowded in the area, you'd be advised to eat before you go, because getting in and out to food vendors is going to be a really tricky time. So it's basically just plan ahead, arrive early if you want to get a good view, wear comfortable shoes because you'll be standing for a number of hours, and wrap up warmly because it might be cold.
Okay, so dress appropriately, go on a full stomach but with an empty bladder.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it, okay.
And sadly, no drinking.
No drinking. Oh, well, I'll stick to London then.
You can follow me on Twitter @holiday_hut. We're talking New York City on the John Guinn Travel Show this week. We spoke about many things to see and do in New York, but what about accessibility? As a city, how accessible is New York City?
Well, New York City is a very modern destination, so it's very well equipped for visitors with all kinds of disabilities. There is an accessibility guide which you can find at nycgo.com/accessibility, and that's a guide to everything you'll need to know, including which hotels, public transportation stations and tourist attractions are accessible for wheelchair users or those with mobility issues. Another service we can recommend is called Big Apple Greeter, which is a volunteer organisation which teams up visitors with local volunteers who can give them tips on exploring